Hello and welcome to Some of My Friends Read Comics. We've got Chris.
From Spider-Man.
We've got Vince.
You're dressed as Hunter S. Thompson. Who would want to talk to you?
Wow, and I'm Kia. Welcome to the show. It's our last episode before Halloween. Woo! Spooky time. We're doing I guess kind of like a potpourri of scary Halloween stuff. We're gonna read a Spider-Man story. We're gonna read a Storm story. And then we're going to continue our Earth 2 read of Batman, Robin stuff with Brave and the Bold 182. That's the right number, right? Yeah. We'll get to that at the end of the show. But yeah, the spooky stories we're reading first. We've got Spider-Man, The Short Halloween by Bill Hader and Seth Meyers from, what year was this, 2010, 2009? Yeah. And then we are reading some X-Men stories where Storm turns into a vampire. Oh my gosh.
Hell yeah.
Uncanny X-Men number 159 and Uncanny X-Men Annual number 6.
Just regular X-Men Annual, by the way, if you're reading at home.
Oh, sorry.
That was very difficult for me to find on Marvel Unlimited.
I didn't realize.
Because the Uncanny Annuals weren't numbered. They were like Uncanny Annual 1995. And I'm like, where the fuck is number 6? I had a real hard time finding it.
Marvel Unlimited's UI is so bad. Sometimes you're better off just being like, Annual Storm is a vampire, and it'll just pop up.
Yeah.
I know, right?
So I kind of think the Spider-Man story is a little bit shorter. I think we'll do that one first and then get into Storm. Does that sound good to you?
Yeah, that sounds great to me.
Sure. Let's do it. So Spider-Man, The Short Halloween with art here by Kevin Maguire. I mentioned it was written by Bill Hader and Seth Meyers from SNL. And it's just kind of a short, little, pleasant, kind of a sitcom-y issue here. It is Halloween. Spider-Man's talking about how he really doesn't like doing superhero stuff on Halloween because of all the costumes and everything out there. And there's a villain named Fumes who's going around, and he has just knocked off some jewelry store. He's running through a crowd, and he bumps into like some random women on the street, and he's like, "Hey, don't you know me? I'm a member of the Furious Five from Kung Fu Panda." Yeah, we got to change that name.
I'm convinced, by the way, because one of my older coworkers, I remember talking about I was going to go see Fast and Furious 5, which is just called Fast 5, by the way. It's not called Fast and Furious 5. And she goes, Fast and Furious. I said, Fast and Furious 5. She goes, oh, like Kung Fu Panda, the Furious 5. And I'm like, no. And I am 90% convinced that they did not call it Fast and Furious 5 because of Kung Fu.
Because of that? Because of Kung Fu Panda?
Because of like the SEO and just the recognition. I'm 90% convinced that was what they were thinking.
That makes sense. We have no way to know for sure.
No way. We can't talk to Justin Lin and whoever wrote Fast 5.
So meanwhile, on Halloween here, in some bar, there's like a drunk guy who's dressed as Spider-Man, and he throws his drink at a guy dressed as Doc Ock because that's just natural, right?
Everybody has great costumes, by the way, that look like Spider-Man costumes. Like, considering he should be like a blur, like there's people that have really good Spider-Man and Doc Ock costumes. Like, I guess I wouldn't attempt a Spider-Man costume, but he'd probably come out pretty shitty. If I did a Doc Ock costume, it would be like a pullover with like maybe some like dryer vent cord, like tubing or something.
Oh yeah, it's a real good costume. The Doc Ock guy, I guess they decided to just dress like villains for Halloween because his friend is dressed like Green Goblin. And they go out and they confront this fake Spider-Man's friends, and they're on the street like, what the hell, man? I was trying to hit on a girl, and he threw a drink in my face. And this guy is just, I think this fake Spider-Man, all he ever says is Chris's line from the intro of just, I'm Spider-Man. He's just drunk as hell.
It's like Robbie or something, right?
Yeah, Robbie. They keep calling him Robbie. Ronnie. All right, thank you. His friends are dressed as Hunter S. Thompson and Shaun of the Dead, which, you know, it's a nice little bit of flavor. They're not all dressed as superheroes, which I appreciate.
I also like the idea in this because, like, the Shaun of the Dead guy calls him out like, yeah, the reason you're not getting any dates because you're dressed as Hunter S. Thompson. Like, that's fucking not gonna get the ladies. And then the guy hits back. He goes, you're dressed as Shaun of the Dead. And I'm like, oh, that's right. Those of us that really liked Shaun of the Dead in the mid 2000s, we were not getting the ladies. That was not cool.
I think Shaun of the Dead, like, women love horror movies and zombie movies and stuff. I don't want to speak for every woman, of course, but I don't think
I liked Shaun of the Dead a lot, but I don't think I'm like
I think you're more likely to pick up women dressed as Shaun of the Dead than you are as Hunter S. Thompson.
Yes, it's also an easier costume.
Yeah, 100%, and an easier to identify costume as well. Nobody was gonna identify Hunter S. Thompson based off of.
Yeah, it was just a hat and sunglasses at night. Like, come on, bro, you don't look cool.
It's not enough. Not enough. Got to work harder. So meanwhile, Spider-Man is chasing this Fumes guy to that same intersection. Yeah. So okay, sorry. I got to back up a little bit. These guys get in the cab and they're like running away, and Doc Ock and Green Goblin, not the real ones, just these assholes in costume, they hear them say the cross street of where they're headed to Barrow and Hudson, and they're like, "Do you hear that? We got to go after these guys." I'm like, "Damn, that's a weird way to spend your Halloween." But they get home to that intersection, and Spider-Man and Fumes, the battle leads them to that same intersection. The fake Spider-Man who's drunk goes around to like an alley where he can throw up or something. And I guess he puts his mask back on afterwards. That seems like a bad idea after you've thrown up, actually. Don't do that. But real Spider-Man and Fumes are on the roof. Spider-Man gets knocked out by some gas canister or something, and he falls down. The friends go into the alley to find their friend Ronnie, the fake Spider-Man, and of course they drag out Peter, who's all knocked out, thinking it's their friend. It's that good of a costume. Very impressive. They drag him up the steps, banging his head on every step up the way, which again seems like a bad idea. If your friend is like in genuinely bad shape, you're not doing him any favors there.
Yeah, seems even worse. I guess he has the healing ability of a spider. Like he's got a concussion probably already.
Yeah,
you're banging his head on the stairs.
Do spiders heal from concussions quickly? Do spiders get concussions?
Yes, they heal from concussions 10 times faster than a human.
Wow, good for them. So Fumes, meanwhile, goes down to the alley, and he's like, "Oh my god, I think I killed Spider-Man," and he finds the fake one lying in the trash. And he's like, "Okay, well, that's cool." And then Ronnie's girlfriend, or I guess ex-girlfriend, comes yelling at him from outside, like, "Ronnie, you have some explaining to do," or something or other. We really have a setup for a whole lot of misunderstandings. Yeah. Fumes calls the rest of the Furious Five, which includes, I don't know if have any of these villains ever shown up before. We have Gossip Girl, Haymaker, Badger Teeth, and Mr. Think. All new. No, I can't believe has definitely been used anywhere before.
It's a GL Great Lakes Avengers / Great Lakes Initiative kind of looking dude / whatever. What was it? Was it MODOK's 11? It was some weird crew it may have been MODOK's 11. You know,
yeah, that sounds
a bunch of jabronis.
Mm-hmm. A bunch of jabronis.
And those guys were real.
I'm gonna look up Badger Teeth Marvel.
Yeah,
he said he actually killed some of his previous team members, so he may actually have continuity. You type in Badger Teeth, though, and it goes to Badger Teeth Skulls, pictures for sale. So the Marvel Comics is not high on the SEO here.
No, I don't think any of these are real. It was funny because SNL last year, you guys used to have an SNL show. I don't know how much you keep up with it, but it had a woman
all season, but yeah,
a woman with singing. I forget what it was. It's like skin tags that all sang last season.
That sounds like a Sarah Sherman sketch, doesn't it?
Yes. That was who played it. But it reminded me of Gossip Girl with her 5 mouths.
I do like that design.
It is a good design. And all the mouths have their own mind, apparently, and they keep yelling at each other. Gossip Girl is excited to have Spider-Man caught under their control, but also some of the mouths like Spider-Man, and some of them think Spider-Man's lame, and some of them just say things like "totally." Meanwhile, we have Ronnie's girlfriend trying to break up with him. Like, goes into the room there and is like having this heart-to-heart conversation with Spider-Man on the couch, and lifts up his hand to kiss it and gets web all in her face, which I thought was a good moment. She goes outside and like tells the roommates, like, "That's not Ronnie in there. I lifted up the mask. It's just some guy." And then again puts the mask back on. I feel like you shouldn't do that in this situation.
He shouldn't have had his mask off the second you take your drunk friend that you've also got possibly a concussion that could vomit in that mask. And, like, this seems like... All right,
these friends are terrible friends. I don't know what they're doing. Then they get Goblin and Doc Ock show up as well. They're like, yeah, we're here after that guy who threw water in my face. Oh, my goodness. This whole thing is a mess. The super villains, meanwhile, who have captured the fake Spider-Man, are arguing. They're trying to put it up to a vote about if they should kill him. Badger Teeth is really the most bloodthirsty. He's just like, yeah, we have to kill him. It's going to make us the most famous supervillain group of all time. But they can't really come to any sort of agreement, and they all end up getting into a fight with each other over it.
I also question their logic. Like, we read last episode the death of the Earth 2 Batman, and I do not remember the name of that guy who killed the Earth 2 Batman. Jeff, was that his name? Like Jeff?
Just nobody. I do like that Fumes, when he thought he had killed Spider-Man, he was real worried. He was like, I mean, that's cool, but also, like, is the Punisher gonna come kill me? Because that's not cool. Then
if you're on the D list, either the Punisher or what's the Scourge of the Underworld. Like, somebody's gonna come around and just murder you.
Who's Scourge? I don't think I know Scourge.
Scourge was in the early 90s, Mark Grunwald character that he just went around killing like D-list characters, and then they brought him back a couple of times, like different characters wearing the mask. But yeah, he's basically, the plot function is just to kill like D-level characters.
Okay.
He's more famous than Badger Teeth, because I type in the word Scourge and it immediately goes to Scourge Marvel, then Scourge the Hedgehog. So
there you go. You want the Marvel character in this case. He has sort of a bone mask, so he's seems to be in league with the Red Skull in some way.
His first appearance is Iron Man 194. It looks like.
Okay.
May 85. Okay.
So we also Fumes is also having a bit of a change of heart. He's thinking about how his father was a vacuum repairman. He was like, son, you've got a mind to be a vacuum repairman as well. You're going to fall in the family business. And he decided to become a supervillain, and maybe he's rethinking that. The real Spider-Man now is coming to in the apartment. He is still all drowsy, and he sees this fake Doc Ock and Green Goblin coming at him, attacking him. And I thought it was going to be a big thing where he like uses way too much force on them. He comes to pretty quickly. But these guys are assholes. Like, they're knocking over bookshelves. And at one point they throw one of the friends. I think they throw the Shaun of the Dead guy out the window. Like, what the hell, guys?
This is really insane behavior.
Yes, this is very insane behavior. I don't know.
I mean, if you're already willing to come to somebody's house because, follow them home, like, things have escalated.
Yes, that's true. And they are, I mean, in their world, these are like actual sociopathic, villains. Like, this would be like dressing up as Jeffrey Dahmer in our world.
That's true.
That's true. You're bad if you're like, oh, Green Goblin, someone I look up to.
Yeah, they got problems. Well, although dressing up as somebody for a Halloween costume doesn't immediately mean...
No, but if you were in Gotham City, would you dress up as the Joker? You'd be insane to do that.
You would be. You're right. Yeah.
Like, just asking for the Joker to murder you.
Yeah. You're right. It's like being in San Antonio and dressing up as Ozzy Osbourne after he peed on the Alamo.
Oh,
it's
no.
Just
you're not allowed.
Yeah, it's just like that.
It's disrespectful.
He showed up at the Alamo way after.
He did his time. He did his time and then came back.
He did his time. No more shade. I will not stand for this.
For the listener, Ozzy Osbourne got drunk and peed on the Alamo and then was banned from the city for a certain amount of time. And he did his time and then came back for like Ozfest and rocked the town. And people are happy now with him. But
yeah. I don't think it's I will say, I think Ozzy Osbourne kind of looks like Doc Ock. A little bit. He would make a good... Actually, I kind of want to see this as like a musical version. Starring Ozzy Osbourne.
There was that Spider-Man cartoon where Rob Zombie played Kurt Connors. I remember that.
What?
Yeah.
I'm for it. I'm okay with all this. All right, so back to the story here. These guys are assholes. They throw Shaun of the Dead out the window, and Spider-Man saves them.
And a Gwen Stacy moment, by the way.
Oh yeah.
He does not die.
Does not snap his neck. Yeah, does not die. Badger Teeth and Fumes are now fighting one-on-one over this fake Spider-Man. And Ronnie bashes Badger Teeth. Oh, yeah, Ronnie comes too. The fake Spider-Man comes too and bashes Badger Teeth in the back of the head with a pipe. And then the whole crew of good guys shows up, and they see Ronnie with a whole bunch of passed out villains. And he's like, I guess I am a superhero. And Fumes decides to return the stolen jewels, and he is going to become a vacuum repairman again. All right, cool.
Somehow Spider-Man was following this guy, and then when someone asks him what he is and he says the vacuum guy, Spider-Man's like, okay.
This guy's going to be all right. Not like, wait, what does vacuum repairman have to do with anything? No. Spider-Man knows it's going to be okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, a silly little story. It was fine in execution. It's one of the things I like the premise. It's a fun premise, and I think it carries it all the way throughout. Was it the best thing I've ever read? No, but it was fine.
Yeah, I mean, I think like one being read like one. I thought that you're right. This is a total fine Spidey one-off. I think called Short Halloween. I was expecting it to make fun of Long Halloween a little.
Yeah.
Which I think is a missed opportunity. And also, like, I think it's funny that Bill Hader writes a crime show Barry so well that this does not seem to understand the world of crime very well compared to his, like, world in Barry. So it seems like there's a but, it's a funny book. It's got Kevin Maguire, misunderstandings. I don't know what you expect, but I feel like I wanted more. I don't know.
Yeah. I think Kevin Maguire, he did Justice League International and all that, which is, known for being a funny book. Some of the humor works for this, but a lot of it, they seem to think just calling a character Ronnie over and over again is supposed to make us laugh out loud. I mean, I swear, like 17 people will say Ronnie. And I guess that's supposed to be funny. It's... A lot of it just doesn't really work for the comedy. I like the sort of, losers kind of story. But this is after Superior Foes of Spider-Man, right? That was like 2008.
Might be right around this time. That's still one we should read, although it's written by a garbage person. But that Superior Foes is supposed to be good.
Yeah. So it's like I don't know. It reads like one of that thing, and that those parts read fine. The Fume storyline, the comedy mostly doesn't work, but it feels very first drafty. Especially, I'm going to blame all the bad jokes on Seth Meyers because I don't think he's very funny.
I was too. I think I just really like. I don't know if I have a negative view of Seth Meyers. I just have such a positive view of Bill Hader that anything that's not up to Bill Hader standards must have been Seth Meyers. That's mine.
That makes sense to me.
Barry, so much. I mean, I do feel like the Furious Five, like their designs and all that, feels very hatery to me. But like Barry has so much, situation comedy where it's comedy based on sort of the absurdity of what's going on. There's not a lot of that here, so I don't know. It's just like I said, maybe it's just a half-assed first draft, or maybe it's like I said, Seth Meyers is just bad, and him touching it made it worse.
He had to get this. Hader had to get this out of his system so that he could write Barry.
Yeah, that could be
exactly.
Well, that's the Spider-Man story. Like I said, a pretty short thing. We should probably go on to some X-Men now. These are a little bit more dense, so it might take us a little bit longer to get through these. Plus, the annual is like a double-sized kind of annual deal there. So let's do it. Uncanny X-Men number 159. Oh, I didn't write down what year this was from. What is
1982.
They're both 82, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Written by Chris Claremont, who did a ton of X-Men stuff around this time, and art by Bill Sienkiewicz, who, honestly, I didn't really recognize this as Bill Sienkiewicz until I remembered, like, oh, yeah.
Because we had said it, and there's a few panels, and like definitely near the end of this issue, and the annual, I think, looks a lot more like Sienkiewicz. I've heard both ways. So I'll probably say both ways.
Yeah. But let's get into the story. We start with the caption explaining to us that for some reason the X-Men are bursting into Misty Knight's apartment. Friend of the show, Misty Knight from Daughters of the Dragon,
in costume.
And they're all in costume. They're all like doing their thing, like Nightcrawler's bamfing in. Kitty Pryde is going through the wall, and Wolverine and Storm and Colossus they're bursting through the door.
Yeah, and I normally don't. I skim past like the top text because it's usually like they were like four mutant kinds, blah 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 blah. It's just their origin.
That's what I thought too.
So I didn't read it.
I had
at
to go
first.
back to it,
and then it's
I had
like
to go back to it.
3 of these people made a cool entrance using their powers, and the 4 just went through the door. Like that's what it says, and I'm like, we're off to a good start. I'm happy with this.
And they get in there and they're like, you're not Misty Knight, and she's like, no, who are y'all bursting in here? And they apparently this is Harmony Young. She's one of the top fashion models in New York. Kitty Pryde recognizes her.
Kitty Pryde's like, I recognize you, but I cannot place you.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And then she heard the name. She's like, bam, there we go. I knew it.
And they explained that Misty Knight has given them a standing invitation to show up, I guess, uninvited, like whenever they want on a moment's notice, or even no notice at all, just barging right in. I feel like that is not what Misty Knight intended, and that's why the X-Men don't get invited anywhere. But Harmony was like, oh, okay, if your friends are Misty's, and that's okay. Plus, I don't mind having a cute guy around. And then Kitty's getting all jealous because she thinks she's talking about Colossus, but she was looking at Nightcrawler. She likes Nightcrawler. Later, she's like fawning over him being in the circus. Like, ooh, what was that like?
I saw this funny TikTok about like how guys can be like good looking but not hot, and this has been like sticking in my head with this kind of thing. Like, I mean, Nightcrawler, because it's like Henry Cavill is a good looking man, but as Superman, not hot. Henry Cavill, he's just like, I mean, okay, like he's handsome, but I don't want to fuck him. But when he's the Witcher, yes, absolutely, 100. Or fixing his computers, that's hot. And I'm like, oh, okay. So like I can see like Nightcrawler, kind of goofy looking, but he's hot. So I get it. Like I get it now. So
all right.
Claremont and TikTok have the Venn diagram have overlapped right now.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Colossus is just like a hunk, but he's just kind of like, I guess he's like Bobbio.
Yeah. I'm confused what they're doing at Misty Knight's apartment. We don't actually ever get an answer, and as soon like Wolverine immediately at this point reminds Kitty that she's going to be late to dinner with her parents and that she has to change, which like y'all just what were y'all doing? You just decided to I don't know. I don't get it.
How old is Kitty at this point, by the way, Chris? Is she still a teenager?
She's still, she's like 14 or so.
Okay. She's along for the ride, and then she forgot like her plans, and Wolverine has to be like.
Yeah, and then Kitty says she like kind of begs Storm to come with her, to dinner with her parents, or just to drop her off, maybe, I guess. But Storm didn't bring a change of clothes. Oh my gosh. Don't worry.
What I find funnier is that Kitty did. I find funnier that Kitty, she's like, Kitty, you gotta change of clothes, which I'm like, practicality. I'm on board. I don't know where she's keeping the change of clothes, but sure, she's got a bag. She's not. I gotta leave Misty's and I gotta go straight to dinner with my folks.
I have to leave as soon as we get there.
What are the rest of the X-Men's plans for the night? They were just gonna like hang out on Misty Knight's couch.
They do. That's what happens. We'll get to this, but I don't know how long they stay there. Okay, let's just keep going. You'll
Wolverine,
see.
a very rude guest. As soon as he walks in, as soon as like the model is like, okay, you can stay, he's like, well, I'm gonna find some brews.
Yeah, he goes to the kitchen to find some beer.
Maybe they were all going to like play Clue or Trivial Pursuit or whatever you do at Misty Knight's house. And Kitty's like, well, I've got some hours to kill. I guess I'll go with y'all and say hi to Misty, and then I'll go visit my folks. That's what I say. And Wolverine was like, eh.
All right, we'll keep going here. I don't buy it. I don't buy it. You'll see why. Cyclops is meanwhile visiting his brother Alex Summers. What's his name? Havoc. He's visiting him in the Mexican desert, and like Professor X is with Moira, and he's kind of hurt or something.
He's like catatonic or like comatose, I think, right now for some reason. Mm-hmm. He's gonna be assigning homework like literally next issue we read. But
yes.
I guess he'll get fixed. And
I guess Scott has only recently learned about his dad, who. What's that guy's name? The Starjammers? Corsair.
Starjammers. Yeah, I knew he was like an alien involved, right?
Yeah, all that kind of stuff.
The Shi'ar and all that bullshit.
Yeah. But right now, Alex Summers and Polaris, Lorna Dane, and Corsair are all just like living in a cabin in the desert. And Alex has been practicing his powers. Yeah, they don't seem to come up again for the rest of this these couple issues we're reading, but I guess that ties into the bigger picture. Later, this is when I was like, wait, how much time has passed? Kitty is back home at like her home, not her X-Men home. And
No,
she's
at
just
the
like
mansion,
lying.
right?
Oh, she's at the mansion? Okay.
Yeah.
And she's just like on the floor, on the phone. She calls Misty Knight's place to talk to Storm. And they're like, what? Storm's not here. And Kitty's like, oh, she left hours ago, though. Oh, no. So nobody knows what happened to Storm. But I'm at this point, they are just sitting on the couch at Misty's place. Like, y'all have just been there for hours.
Yeah.
Like, I think Wolverine and Colossus were watching a cartoon on the TV.
That's what I mean. That's what I did at sleepovers with my buddies. We're watching Cartoon Network, watching Harlem Globetrotters.
Misty's not there, Vince.
Misty's not even there. That's the problem.
Misty said they can come over whenever, and then there's a nice model. Her roommate is having to entertain all these weirdos. Which
she's enjoying it.
I feel like if Cyclops were here, he would have like told them to leave, but it's just Nightcrawler, Wolverine, and Colossus. So they're like, whatever, y'all.
These guys aren't going to know social cues.
They have very different sets of social skills. So, yeah.
Yeah, Cyclops would be like, guys, we have to go home. Like, it's 9:00. We have to beat traffic. And they're like, whatever.
Yeah. And then Wolverine and Nightcrawler are like, we're just going to watch cartoons. Is that the plan?
Yep. All right. So we see Storm, who has been like knocked out in an alley somewhere. And like she gets rushed in an ambulance to St. Vincent's Hospital. I guess somebody found her and reported it.
Yeah. Love that musician. I didn't know they named a hospital after her.
That's Wolverine and Colossus get there, and the doctor is talking about how, like, oh, she'll be fine. We thought it was worse than it was going to be. The doctors were calling out, like, torn jugular, gotta get this, gotta get that. But she's fine. The doctor was actually real fascinated by, like, what Storm's blood work looked like, and she's like, yeah, I want to hold on to Storm here so that I can, or hold on to your friend here so that I can examine her a little bit more. And of course, Wolverine and Colossus are like, yeah, no, we can't let that happen. Storm does not remember what happened, and the doctor would prefer to keep her there, but Storm's like, yeah, I'm good. I gotta get out of here. They don't take her back home to the mansion. They take her back to Misty Knight's place.
Yeah. There's no trains going to Westchester this time of night.
Or the next day.
Or ever.
But so I guess the X-Men aren't out, I guess, that nobody knows about mutants necessarily at this time in 82.
Yeah, it's people hate and fear them. Vince, I don't know if you've heard about this.
Oh, so because it sounded like they're like they don't want to be blown because they'll be hated and feared, not because nobody knows like stuff like vampires and mutants don't exist. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
I mean,
cool. I misread that.
Mutants exist. Yeah, they just don't want to be outed as mutants.
Yeah, because then they'll be denied coverage because it's not a protected class. Under, I'm assuming.
Yeah, she doesn't want to. Get a hospital bill overnight for staying. It's gonna be what? It's 1982, so $500.
Yeah, that's the real reason.
No.
They take her back to Misty Knight's place. They let her sleep in Misty Knight's bed. I guess Misty is never coming home again. And she's like sweating bullets in her sleep, and she kind of like rises in like a dreamlike state.
This is where
some of the exactly. Looks real good. I really like the way these panels played out.
He did the New Mutants, right? The Demon Bear stuff we covered.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a few years later.
And I have to believe whoever inked this, I think I wrote their name down, had to do a lot of cleaning up as well. Maybe Bob Wyacek. Again, I don't know exactly how the process was, but Bill Sienkiewicz typically very, very scratchy. And this is a remarkably neat book. So then Kitty comes back. She's got like a bag with her from the mansion as well, because I guess they're just gonna be hanging out at Misty's for a long time now. And she's like, "Oh no, where's Storm?" And they're like, "Yeah, she's asleep in that room over there." So Kitty goes to check it out, and Storm, like, okay, she like pulls back the curtain to reveal the sunlight, but the sunlight is hurting Storm. And Storm's like, oh, this is the first time I can ever remember getting sick. And Kitty's like getting kind of suspicious of this. And like Storm flinches away from the Star of David that Kitty has. I'm like, okay, all right. She like pushes Kitty away, who kind of runs away crying. And
she also has a big scarf around her neck with a D inscribed on it.
Yes. And she also asks Wolverine on her way out, like, Wolverine, where were Storm's injuries? Like, on her throat. She just runs away. And then, yeah, meanwhile, Storm lets Dracula in through the window, and they, like, hang out. Kitty comes back and has a cross with her now. She came back armed and ready to go. Didn't feel like telling anybody for some reason. I don't know.
You explained this to us in our Tomb of Dracula episode a couple episodes ago.
Yeah.
Friend of the show, Dracula, showing up, that you have to believe in the cross in order for
the cross does not work because Kitty is Jewish and doesn't.
Yeah, I like that Dracula's like, you're a Hebrew.
Yeah,
that's why it doesn't work.
I also want to do a page count here. We are on, according to Marvel Unlimited, page 13 of 24, and I know there's a cover in there, so we are halfway through the story at this point.
Yeah, this is a dense issue.
Dense, yep. So Dracula grabs Kitty by the throat, but then his hand starts burning because of the Star of David.
Which she does believe in.
Yes. And then Storm delivers one hell of a back fist to Kitty. Like, holy shit, this thing looked rough. And Dracula flies away with Storm. Wolverine, Nightcrawler, and Colossus barge in, and Kitty is telling them that Dracula has taken Storm away, and they don't believe her, but she's like, look, he left this scarf with a D on it. And it's like, okay, well, that could be anybody's scarf with a D on it. And like, hey, come on, get real.
He also flew out the damn window.
Yeah. So they head to Belvedere Castle in Central Park, which I guess is where Dracula is living right now. And they fight him for a bit. They fight some of his wolves for a little bit. I like
that Dracula can't go. He goes to New York and he's like, where's your nicest castle?
Yeah, you have to live in a castle somewhere. Wolverine and Colossus give him the old fastball special, but Dracula mists away.
Yes.
Classic Dracula. Dracula.
Yes.
This is the Dracula we know and love.
This makes me so happy.
Yep, he calls them fools. Don't worry.
Yep. Nightcrawler is, of course, super religious, and he forms like two sticks into a cross, and he's, dealing with Dracula like that. Kitty, meanwhile, has slipped away. She snuck into the castle. She finds an empty coffin, and she's like kind of worried. She finds the coffin. She's worried Storm's going to be there, but it's empty. And she pours holy water in it. And then Vampire Storm shows up and smacks her again. Storm loves to hit Kitty. What's up?
If Kitty does not believe in the power of the holy water, will it work?
I was thinking that.
But that's already been pre-blessed. So if she had a pre-blessed cross, would it have worked? I don't know.
I mean, it's
don't
like,
think about this, Vince.
Can a vampire enter a home that's got like crosses all over it, even if there's nobody there to believe in them? Things like that. That's what.
Yeah, because like there's sometimes like come one, come all or something. Like the cross is there, and then welcoming people in to live, laugh, and love.
Yeah.
Dracula just reading. In this house, everyone is welcome. Okay.
All right. They invited me in. What else do we got here? So they're back at the fight. Nightcrawler is about to get the upper hand on Dracula. Oh, okay. So I skipped a little something. Kitty is like begging Storm to fight away this hold that Dracula has over her. That doesn't seem to be working. And then back at the fight, Nightcrawler has the upper hand, and Storm shows up and like lightnings all of the X-Men, and they fall. And Dracula's like, all right, Storm, I'm going to slay them all now. And Storm says, no, you're not. She zaps Dracula. And Dracula starts to fly away. She goes, your hold on me is broken. So Storm is free, I guess. And Dracula and Storm do some fly fighting in the air. They eventually break into this window of a restaurant. And Storm is like, oh, I will not succumb to you. And Dracula picks up this
turned on by this.
He picks up this poor diner's throat, and he goes, I'm going to rip this cow's throat out if you don't succumb to me. And I'm like, geez, that's rough. Dracula ends up just like leaving instead. He's like, fine, I'm gonna release you from under my spell. I'm gonna just get out of here. Bye forever, Storm. And he leaves.
He does say something like back when I was like a king or a prince or whatever, like you would have been a great queen or something like that. It's like, dude, what are you doing?
Yeah, I don't know. That's not working, Drac.
He just loves her. She's a strong, independent woman, and he's just like immediately falling all over himself.
You're embarrassing yourself. Sorry. So back home, I wrote back home, but still there.
Back at Misty's home.
So back at Misty's home, the phone rings. Harmony answers the phone and says, "Oh, Storm, it's for you, long distance." And it's like, okay, fine, no problem. Let's just make long distance calls in the 80s to Misty Knight's apartment. Sure. I don't know how Moira McTaggart knew to call Misty Knight's place to get to the X-Men. But she did.
Standing invitation, yeah.
But she says, I need the X-Men. Professor X has taken a turn for the worse. Oh no.
Muir Island.
Tanker.
Pick up Cyclops on the way.
They are in the annual here that we're about to read next. Are they still in Moira's? No, because I think they're just like
a few months later.
All right. Part of me wanted to believe that they were still there.
No, because
it would be funny.
No, because Colossus is doing. He mentions he's specifically doing homework for Professor X. So I guess Professor X has gotten back and has already like resumed his curriculum.
No, he says that the homework is due when Professor X gets back. So Professor X is not back yet.
But he's coming back.
He's coming.
Yeah. But they are at the mansion, the early scenes.
You're right. Yeah. All right. So let's jump right into it. Uncanny X-Men, or I guess just X-Men Annual number 6. The cover, I love the cover. It looks super Sienkiewicz-y. But yeah, the internal art pretty much looks the same as the rest, other than a few exceptions here and there.
That's Storm as a vampire and with Dracula there.
Storm looks great as a vampire, by the way. We didn't talk too much about the art, but just the eyes, really, I think, is all it takes. Eyes and just looking a little meaner.
And the dress, and then her silhouette with it. It's real good design. I don't know why they decided to add, we're gonna add Storm being a vampire to one of her things. It's brilliant though. I don't know why I like it so much. It really
cool.
does.
It's cool. It's always just good to have alternate versions of characters too. Always, never a bad thing, in my opinion.
So they were thinking in 30 years, this will be a good alternate costume for you're gonna have Mohawk Storm.
Oh shit, yeah, definitely. One of the Marvel Diablo clone that was on the phone, you could definitely get somebody to pay $2 for Marvel or for Storm vampire costume, or a gotcha box or whatever, a loot box.
Yeah, Dracula we didn't mention. Looks pretty much the same, but I think it looks good. Dracula is pretty classy. But let's jump into this story. Beginning of this one, Annual number 6, we've got Rachel Van Helsing. She's an anthropologist teaching a class at Bard College, just north of New York City. Some dumbass kid in her class is like, hey, just because of your last name, do you have any connection to that stuff that Bram Stoker wrote about? And she's like, no, that's fiction. And the kid's friend is like, man, how could you be so stupid to ask a question like that? But later she's thinking to herself, like, it's all true. My dad did hunt Dracula, or my family did hunt Dracula for generations, but that's all over because Dracula is dead, thankfully.
Tomb of Dracula is canceled, so case closed.
Was she in our Tomb of Dracula issues? Was she?
I believe so.
She was not the Van Helsing daughter that got killed.
No, that was Murray, right? It was Mina's granddaughter.
Somebody definitely got killed. Yeah, I think it was a Van Helsing had to kill his daughter. I'm not sure, but maybe
it's just a different Van Helsing.
No, I'm pretty sure Rachel Van Helsing was the girlfriend of Frank Drake or whatever his name was.
That's right,
the rich guy.
Yeah,
Sir Francis Drake. That's right. No.
But anyway,
go download episode 2 episodes ago. Get us another download.
Yeah. But Rachel doesn't have to worry about Dracula anymore because he's dead. And then she gets home and Dracula is waiting for her. LOL. Back home, Kitty Pryde is going hysterical because her parents are getting a divorce. And the X-Men are all trying to calm her down, and it's not really working. And she's just like, how could you try to defend them in this? You're not my friends, all that kind of stuff.
And she kind of starts to. It was her fault in her head.
Yeah,
if she had just been home and not at X-Men school.
She really is like speed running every negative thought you could have about this situation, and just like goes through every single one of them. She's in her room talking about how she hates her parents, crying over their photo, and there's like a shadow that's kind of watching over all of this, and the captions are like, something has changed for Kitty now. But she wakes up feeling a lot better. She kind of feels bad about the thing she said to Storm, since Storm's parents died when she was a kid. And she's like, maybe I shouldn't have said that. Storm shows up, and Storm instantly picks up Kitty. And Kitty's like, what are you doing? Oh, my God, no. And Storm's a vampire again. She takes a big old bite out of Kitty's neck and just drops her on the ground and walks away. Oh, my God. This was my panel of the week right here. I like this Jack in the Box looking sad, looking over Kitty's body.
Yeah, her teddy bear even looks sad. Like
the teddy bear looks like depressed sad and just like kind of in its own little world, whereas the Jack in the Box is more like looking on and is like distraught, I think. But yeah, I enjoyed that. Then Storm goes and bites Colossus and Wolverine and Cyclops and Nightcrawler. And they're all just shown bleeding, and I'm like, oh my God, what is going on here?
It's a great
she
page.
Goes up to the
Just
roof.
A great page.
It is real good. She goes up to the roof, she turns into a bat, and she flies to Dracula, and she kisses him. And then she wakes up because it was all a dang dream. Oh my God. That was a good dream sequence. Kind of got me because I was like, I guess this could happen, and I assume nobody's really dead. But no,
I mean, everybody heroes will turn into all Venoms at some point. I assume that like maybe there'd be an issue where all the X-Men are vampires. I think they even said like in the last issue specifically that like it takes 3 days for everything to fully take effect. So I guess you could reverse it in that 3-day time frame just to give yourself some stakes and a time clock. It works.
Yeah, again, Dracula the novel apparently all true because Dracula has to visit you, bite you a few times, then you die. Then you come back as a vampire.
Is there a story about how Bram Stoker knew that all this was true? How did Bram Stoker know? We need to write him.
Dracula probably told him.
Yeah.
Probably.
Yeah, we missed those. Like, also, apparently, like some of it's like I think we were talking about it during Tomb of Dracula. Nosferatu introduced the idea that vampires die from sunlight. Previously, I guess in the Dracula novel, they're just like, I fucking hate the sun, which I get it. I burn easily. So but the Kill by the Sun wasn't introduced till the 1920s with the Nosferatu movie. So things are still being added to the mythos.
Interesting. Yeah, she wakes up in a sweat. She's like, oh my God, just a dream. Thank goodness. She goes to check the kitty's okay. And she can tell like, okay, I am being summoned by Dracula, but I'm just going to go because I know he's a threat and I don't want to get anybody else involved. He apparently lied when he said that he would release his vampiric hold on her in the last issue. Too bad. Kitty, meanwhile, sees Storm flying away and suspects what's happening. She's like, the game is afoot. I'm like, really, Kitty? I guess it makes sense later. She does not want to involve everyone yet, but she does go to Colossus, who's writing his history thesis for Professor X about how U.S.-Russia relations are so bad and how they got to bridge the gap. And Kitty's like, hey, how about we do some of our own bridging the gap? And I'm like, what? And they like behind a closed door, Peter is yelling. He's like, no, Kitty, no. I'm like, what the heck is going on here?
This is like a sequel to that scene where Scarlet Witch went down on Wonder Man off panel. I was like, no.
I was like, no, stop it. Storm, meanwhile, shows up at Dracula's place, meets his consort, a blonde lady who we find out is Rachel Van Helsing, who is now under Dracula's control. They've prepared a very nice spread for her of cheese and wine and fruit. It's very nice of them. And Dracula shows up. He can read her mind, and they have shared blood now. And they have like a little bit of a telepathic struggle, and Storm is just done. Dracula's taken hold of her, and Rachel's got to tend with her while Dracula goes to rest because they're going to need their strength. Maybe he comes right back.
Basically like, I need you for a spy mission.
Yeah, he comes right back after he said he was going to go rest and says, "Yeah, Storm, I need you to go." So listen, Storm. There's a book that contains a spell that obliterates vampires, and I need you to steal it. It's in this castle that's built on the holiest land, so I can't go there. They like drop her off right outside, and he's like, "Yeah, even being right here is too much for me. So go."
But she's a vampire. Shouldn't she be affected by this holiness?
She's not a vampire, Vince. Didn't you
yet.
hear the whole thing? You got to get bit a bunch of times in 3 days, and then you die, and then you come back.
Yeah.
Okay,
She's
so
not dead.
but I got confused because the dream sequence wasn't real. Right.
Yes.
Right.
Gotcha.
And Rachel Van Helsing chose this spot for the castle, and she has paid the price for this terrible decision. Storm is now breaking in like she's Catwoman or something, and she's like, sneaking around, not setting off any traps. But then she gets shot by a crossbow.
The crossbow killer.
being held by Kitty Pryde. What? Oh my goodness! And the alarm bell rings, and Colossus is also showing up there to fight. He's saying something like, I must obey Kitty, like that kind of stuff. And it seems a little weird. Kitty has kind of snuck past and grabbed the book out of the safe.
Oh right, I remember. Okay. Yeah, I remember this now. Okay, cool.
It's the Montesi formula is what it's called. This book, and she's like, Dracula will be dead before this night is done. Since when does Kitty Pryde care so much about Dracula? It seemed a little weird to me. Let's keep going. Meanwhile, we have Kitty. She tells Storm this is a private quarrel, and Storm should just stay out of it. And Storm was like, "Wait a minute, this seems weird. This isn't Kitty. This is like somebody in Kitty's body. What the hell is this?" Then some guards show up, and Storm jumps out of the window. Dracula and Rachel, as bats, catch her and fly away. Chapter 3. Storm is in Egypt, but it's like a dream sequence. Mom is there at the bazaar, and Dad is there too. She sees her parents die to an airstrike. She wakes up in a sweat. She has been healing in one of Dracula's coffins. And she checks. She still doesn't have fangs, and she's like, okay, good. I'm not a vampire yet. And she jumps at Dracula, who swats her away. And Dracula says, all right, time to finish turning you into a vampire. And I'm gonna bite you, and we're gonna start the process. And he's gonna do it. He like pulls her hair back and goes to grab her neck. Go ahead.
I'm gonna need you to be a vampire to fight to get this book back, because I really need it.
That's what. Yes. But the X-Men show up just in time. Cyclops blasts Dracula. Dracula picks up some spears he had on the wall, and he throws one at Cyclops. It gets deflected by Wolverine, and then Nightcrawler bamps in to grabs it and drives it through Dracula's body. Oh my goodness.
That scene was so cool.
It was good. It was real good. Rachel gets involved, and she attacks Cyclops. She can turn into mist too. That's pretty cool. Then she transforms into a wolf and is fighting Cyclops on top. Dracula escapes to the catacombs, and Kitty and Colossus are trying to chase behind him. Wolverine, this is a bad time to try. He tries to stop Colossus and be like, "Hey, why'd y'all swipe the Blackbird?" I'm like, "Not now, Wolverine. We're fighting Dracula, man." But it did also like the time sequence. I was like, "Oh, I did have to think about it." So Kitty and Colossus stole the Blackbird to fly over here to Dracula, and then the rest of the X-Men followed them. Okay,
right. That's how they. I mean, it's plot convenience that they showed up right in the nick of time, but that's the explanation as well. We were following Kitty.
Yeah. Colossus smacks Wolverine away because Kitty has summoned him, and Wolverine's like, it seems a little weird here. Storm is fine for the moment. She kind of resumes control of the team, even though Scott's like, what if you become a vampire again? Then it's not okay. And she's like, no, I got to be leader. All right.
I like that she electrically changes into her X-Men costume.
Yeah.
Did you do this before when you were looking for clothes?
I guess maybe she can only turn into like her superhero clothes. Maybe.
I guess
you can't just lightening up any old clothes.
She's not Captain Marvel, Miss Marvel.
And she should. She should try. I bet she could if she tried.
Also, the Swamp Thing, John Constantine thing. Like, I bet you could if you just try to use this power.
Never thought about it. Yep.
Yeah, exactly.
So they go down into the catacombs all together. They run into Dracula, and Wolverine goes to slash him, but Dracula bites him. And the mind control takes effect very quickly because he says, "Okay, go attract your friends," and Wolverine does. Rachel pops out of like an alcove and grabs Storm. She's begging Storm to kill her because she doesn't want to be enslaved by Dracula forever. She doesn't want to be a vampire. All right.
I do like that he changed the design on her to make her look like she's like a drug addict or something. She has very sallow cheeks and everything in this scene compared to what she would look like in the first scene when Dracula showed up at her house.
Yeah, I didn't recognize her at first, even though they called her Rachel. It took me a while to realize, like, oh, that's the same Rachel. Duh. So Kitty shows up and she's got the book. She starts reading it. She starts reading the Montesi formula to kill Dracula. Dracula's like, "Oh my God, what is this? You're reading the thing at me." And Nightcrawler stops her because that is an evil passage from the Darkhold. It will take her soul if she finishes reading it. And Nightcrawler's like, "Yeah, I'm not going to let you." And Kitty gets real pissed that she got stopped.
The Darkhold is the book from Doctor Strange 2, by the way.
Yes, were we talking about that last episode?
I don't know.
Maybe
I feel like the Darkhold has showed up before, but this is the first time since the movie. Thank goodness for the movie. I'm now like, oh, I know what that thing is now. That's a bad book because I don't pay attention.
It's just the Marvel Necronomicon, right?
Yes, exactly.
Necronomicon, not Necrocomicon. Sorry.
Necrocomicon. That would be a great, spooky
something.
Spooky
comic. Great something.
Yeah, it's a Chthon, I think. It's one of those Elder Gods evil books. So yeah, it's basically the Necronomicon.
So at this point, we get the whole reveal that Kitty is being possessed. Everyone finds out that this is Dracula's daughter who is possessing Kitty. Rachel shows up. Rachel's kind of briefly out of his control as well, I guess because of this book that was being read. And she's free from him. She stabs Dracula in the heart with one of those spears, and we see Dracula fall and like turn into a skeleton. Like, damn, all right, awesome.
We've gotten here before.
Dracula broke his pact never to die again.
Oh yeah. Vince, what did you say?
We got here. We got this far in Tomb of the Dracula, but he fucking got out of it last time. Yeah. Despite being a skeleton.
From the lore of Tomb of Dracula, as long as that weapon stays in his skeleton body, he'll be dead. Cool. Unfortunately,
they have to decapitate him, which they'll do in like 5 seconds. Wolverine's like, "No problem, I'll just walk over there and decapitate him."
Yeah. Unfortunately, the room caves in, and everyone has to like rush out of there as the whole building falls down, and then the little cliffside that it's on also falls down, and the whole building falls in the water. Cool.
No. It would have been a good time to have, I don't know, someone with telekinetic powers or something to like stop the building from collapsing for a few seconds, so Wolverine could just get this done.
Too bad. Dracula will live on.
Yeah, Jean Grey is dead and will never come back, so no one can do it.
Then Rachel Van Helsing afterwards is like, "Please kill it. Can you kill me as well? I just don't want to be a vampire." And Wolverine gives her a hug and puts a stake through her back. It's a really nice sequence here where you just kind of zoom in on their faces hugging, and she turns into a skeleton. Oh.
Yeah, he basically is a doctor giving her a shot where she is like, "Please kill me," and then he's like, "Put her there," and then she's surprised he killed her.
Yeah. Wolverine's also like, "Just let me do it. I'm the one who kills people. It's fine." Kitty, or I guess Dracula's daughter, then reveals herself. Her name is Lilith. She's a vampire, but the sun doesn't affect her. Neither does garlic, because she is unique. She possessed Kitty so that she could enter the castle for the book, because she also couldn't step on that holy ground. She also wanted to bring the X-Men and get them involved. And she's like, "All right, I'll leave you Kitty's body. I guess I'm done now. Bye." And yeah, she leaves.
My panel of the week is her like turning into mist or whatever, and Storm is giving her like such a stink eye, like, "Get out of here."
And yeah, Kitty wakes up. She doesn't really remember what was going on, but she apologizes for yelling at Storm. And that's it. The end. Well, the end question mark. Who knows? But yeah, fun stuff. I like Dracula a lot. I think Dracula might be my favorite character in the Marvel universe. Not my favorite character, but I like. No, he's not my favorite anything. I just like the stories. That's all. What about you guys? How'd y'all feel about Storm turning into a vampire?
I don't know if I've read many like Storm-centric Marvel stories, quite frankly. So it was nice to see her like even like in the realm of this X book, like she takes center stage, and then the X-Men come at the end of the issue. Like I was like, this is good. I think this is a good team book. Like I'm not like it's like I guess like those X-Files stories. Like now people like the done-in ones, not the lore ones. I'm like, yeah, this is just a couple vampire stories where Storm turns into a vampire. The team comes and fights. It kind of ties in the Tomb of Dracula we read a few episodes ago. I thought this was perfectly pleasant and pretty fun. And the art was really cool. Every time Storm's a vampire, I think it looks fucking great.
Chris, how about you? You'd recommended these. You had read these before, yeah?
Yes, yeah. I've done a read through of all this before. But yeah, this was a lot of fun. I do like how much of a collaborator Chris Claremont is. This is. I don't know. I don't think Sienkiewicz got a plotter or co-writer credit, but it's very much like Marvel method-y, where he's influenced by his artists a lot, and so this is very fun. Just like turning the X-Men into a horror book for like an issue, which I think is pretty cool, considering, I think 4 issues after this or 3 issues after this is the Brood saga. So it turns into very hard sci-fi not long after this. So it's cool that the X-Men can just have like a Halloween style issue where what if Storm was a vampire?
Yeah, it's pretty nice. Pretty nice.
So at this time, I guess there was no adjectiveless X-Men, but this is considered X-Men. So they were X-Men annuals, but they were tied to Uncanny X-Men, I guess. There weren't like 2 series going.
Well, Uncanny X-Men also just started as just X-Men, right? And turned into Uncanny.
The Uncanny X-Men being like the official name is a little bit later. It's originally it's published just as X-Men.
Really?
So I wonder if that's a weird holdover of that. But yeah, these are just X-Men annual.
Okay, so I was thinking like, man, this is gonna be hard for a reader to know. Like, oh, I had to have read the X book I wasn't reading, and then now pick up the annual, and then I'll pick up the thread. But that wasn't happening.
No, yeah, this was. This is almost kind of the peak of X-Men. This is where it's like, because X-Men, we don't have time to go through the whole thing, but X-Men was. We've done Giant Size X-Men before. That was like a throwaway book, like whatever. Let's just give this a chance. Then Claremont and Cockrum, Claremont and Byrne, it becomes a big hit. Cockrum comes back, which is right around where this is. And then this is just a fill-in issue with Sienkiewicz. So there's only one X-Men book. This has only been going for about like 5 or 6 years. So it's, this is before there's, 4 X-Men books, on the market. There's no New Mutants yet. That's coming pretty soon. It's just becoming more and more popular as it's going.
Okay, cool.
Yep. But I think that is enough X-Men for now. Time to jump over to our long read of Earth 2 stuff. We are on Brave and the Bold, number 182. This is by Alan Brennert, art by Jim Aparo. And yeah, we've kind of been following the journey of, I guess not the journey, but the story of Earth 2 Batman and the Earth 2 Bat family, and how he married Catwoman, and they had a kid who was Huntress, and Batman and Catwoman died, and now their legacy is continuing on over there. Yeah, that's about where we're at. I think that recaps the whole thing. We start our story here on Earth 2. Dick Grayson is a U.S. ambassador now, and he's talking to astronomer Ted Knight, who is Starman. Starman?
Yes.
Star guy?
Not the Starman from like the 90s Starman that I read, but I think like the older Starman from that book.
Yeah,
the original Starman.
And
there's
JSA
like a world because it's Earth 2, right? Yeah.
Right.
Okay, gotcha.
And there's like a crazy storm happening that seems a little unnatural, and they turn into Robin and Starman to go investigate. And they fly towards the source of it, which appears to be Professor Hugo Strange, whose face is in the sky, and he like zaps them down to the ground. Professor Hugo Strange. Who is this? Do I know this?
He's dead. Hugo Strange he's a minor Batman villain. He's in a pretty good episode of Batman the Animated Series, and he's the secondary villain of Batman Arkham City, is probably where most people would probably know him from.
Okay. Okay. Well, here right now he's just a face in the sky. And meanwhile, back on Earth 1, there's also a storm happening there. And Batman is there. He feels like an odd compulsion to stop at a cemetery. And he gets zapped by lightning while he's there. When he opens his eyes, he's still in the cemetery, but he sees the tombstone of Bruce Wayne. What? And then he sees the tomb of Selina Wayne, which is like, oh, somehow I've been sent to Earth too. Okay, well, let me just do some superhero work, I guess. He tries to save some people from like a freak ball lightning thing, but they're like, Batman's dead, and they run away from him because they're scared. Okay, cool. Robin now has gotten back up, and he's like, okay, Ted is going to be all right, but I can't really count on anybody's help right now. Huntress and Power Girl are visiting Metropolis. And he heads to JSA headquarters. He sees somebody breaking in, trying to pick the lock there. And he like goes closer. It's Batman, and he instantly recognizes him as Earth 1 Batman because I guess the logo is slightly different.
Instantly after he kicks him in the face once.
Yes, yeah. There's an editor's note on this panel that says these events obviously take place before those depicted in World's Finest Comics, number blah blah blah. I don't know. It wasn't obvious to me because I don't know what happened in that issue. But
yeah, I looked at that issue. It was an issue that came out like 3 months earlier where Robin and Earth 1 Batman team up. So
okay.
They're like, they don't know each other well. They are not on good ground. So clearly This is before that issue.
Obviously. They talk about Hugo Strange for a little bit. He died over a year ago on both of their worlds. But I guess
died
he's
like 20 years ago on Earth 2.
Wow. Yeah, they're talking about how on Earth 2 he tried to make like a fear dust, which reminded me of like Batman Begins, like that sort of thing. Yeah. And then they stopped him and he fell into the ocean and died. But I guess not. And then Selina's Panther jet shows up and starts opening fire. I've never heard of the Panther jet.
That thing is fucking cool, though.
It's pretty good. It's just a plane that shoots guns
with the little CW logo with like the C overlapping to the W. Hell yes.
I'm sure it's from some Golden Age or Silver Age Batman issues.
Wait a minute. Is the CW network created by Catwoman?
Oh, that's what it stands for. What does the CW stand for?
I have no idea.
It was just a merger of like UPN and the WB, which I know what the WB stood for. What does the CW stand for? God damn it. Okay, well.
I don't know, man. Catwoman.
I don't know. What was UPN? United
Paramount
Public Network?
United Paramount Networks, yeah. Because it used to be just the Paramount Network would just show Star Trek episodes.
All right, I'm checking this right now. What does CW stand for?
CBS
I have to know.
And the W stands for Warner Brothers. CBS
what?
Because CBS is owned by Viacom Paramount, and Viacom owns Paramount. Is that right?
There you go. There we go.
CBS Warner Brothers? That's a very unsatisfying answer. I wish I hadn't looked at it.
No,
what does CBS stands for? No one knows.
Central Broadcasting. Yeah. No. It's the Catwoman now. I'm calling it that.
Yeah, the Catwoman network.
That's why they're. Well, I guess that's Warner Brothers. Still, that's why they canceled the Batgirl movie. Catwoman behind it all.
I would love it if they actually do make a Catwoman series to go in their little Arrowverse, and then they like the branding is like CW is the home of the Catwoman.
CW.
That would be.
I feel like the ship has kind of sailed on that.
I know
there's still a couple. Much. Yeah.
There's just a few stragglers. I think they're wrapping up.
Yeah. Yeah. They're mostly done with the Arrowverse.
Oh well. Anyways, they so they have this jet that's opening fire on them, and they're like, but that jet was destroyed years ago. And they're like being attacked by lots of stuff from the past, which is a little weird. Then Batwoman shows up to help. Cool. They have a little moment because again, Earth 1 Batwoman is dead, and Earth 2 Batman is dead, and they kind of have a little meetup. I guess also in this universe, Earth 2 Batwoman and Batman had a little fling for a little while. Okay.
Yeah, you remember all the cover. Well, you probably don't, but there were a bunch of covers in like the 50s and 60s where, I mean, if you Seduction of the Innocent, Wortham's like, these two are gay. So there's a bunch of covers in like the 50s, which honestly makes them seem more gay, where it would have like Batman and Batwoman like looking like they're going to get married, and Robin would be like, "Oh no," which again, when that doesn't happen, that does make it seem like they're gay.
Yeah. So the Batmobile then drives in to attack them, and they've got to destroy it. Robin has a moment where he feels kind of bad for like.
I like that he's
up,
like, "Oh, I can't destroy the Batmobile." Like,
yeah.
Why not?
Why not? But then, they destroy it. Batman predicts correctly that the other Batman also kept 3 emergency whirly bats in the trunk that are like these little sitting helicopter dealios that he pulls out and assembles remarkably quickly.
I love it.
It's good.
He's like just like I would do. Batman.
Yeah. And then Robin is like, "Oh, this is the real Batmobile because there's also this plaque that I put in here to commemorate when we retired it, and I put my initials etched into this graving here." Okay. And then he also
that's what clues them in, because they're like, "Wait a minute, this is the actual car. Like this has been sitting in the Batcave."
Yeah. Also, why has it just been sitting in the Batcave? What's going on? Like, has anybody been watching the Batcave?
Yeah, he should open a Bat museum or something now that he's dead.
Yeah,
how old is this Robin?
Old enough to be a U.S. ambassador.
He says he's about Batman's age, but I'm like, no, you're probably older.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I mean, like, well, because it says like the placard says like 1955, and I'm like, okay, so that means you were active. I mean, you were active in 1941, 42, whenever Robin showed up. So you're at least 40 something in 82 here.
I think he's like 55.
Yeah, he's got to be like 50.
He looks great. He looks great. Dick looks great.
He tells Batwoman, like, "Hey, Batwoman, I know you have a family. If you don't want to fight, you can go home to them." And Batwoman's like, "No, I want to fight for my family. I also want to fight for the Batman that I used to love. I felt so sad when he left me and got married, but I finally accepted it," or something like that.
I don't know what they could do, but I do wish they'd have done something to show, because when she's like talking like this, I'm like, how old is she? Because she looks exactly the same as like the regular Batwoman model. Like
they mention at some point when Batman comes in there, he mentions like, even though you look so much older or something like that. So I guess she's supposed to have aged and look very old.
Yeah, Batman says that, or somebody says that. I feel like that would be rude for Batman.
Yeah.
Even though you look totally washed up.
Everybody's got to be in their 50s and 60s at this point.
Yeah.
You remind me of a girl that I used to know, but like her mother.
And as they're flying to the Batcave, they all have like their internal monologues that they're going on about. Robin is just like, God, I kind of like hate this guy. He's Batman and just makes me miss my Batman. He's not my Batman. Who is this guy? Batman. What was Batman thinking about?
Batman is just like, everybody is distracted by the fact that I don't belong here, and I hope it doesn't like affect us from working together.
Yeah, and then Batwoman is talking about how like, I hope that as soon as we're done with this, that this guy leaves, because I couldn't stand to fall in love with him again. Oh, okay.
She's gonna catch feelings. She knows.
Batman's really rude. I don't know how people keep falling in love with him.
Yeah, they love those bad boys. She can fix them.
To show that point, these assholes make Batwoman wear a blindfold into the Batcave because she can't know where it is. I guess she's trusted enough to be Batwoman, but not enough for anything else. Okay.
They'll license out the franchise, but they're not gonna trust. Yeah. She doesn't have a seat at the table. Come on.
Yeah.
No.
She's not one of the board of directors. Come on.
No, we skipped the second issue of the Death of Batman, where they find out what the deal was. But one of the stranger parts of that is because everybody knows, like, everybody saw Batman and Bruce Wayne die at the same time. Everybody knew that, Batman was Bruce Wayne. And then they're like, well, then that means Dick Grayson is Robin. And Huntress is probably also one of them, right? So Dr. Fate, I think, is somebody in Earth 2 is like, no, we're gonna like pull the plug on this. People will only know that Batman is dead and that Bruce Wayne is dead. They won't know that they're the same person.
Okay, that's nice.
Dr. Fate is Pierce Brosnan in the Black Adam movie?
Really?
Yeah.
He's in it.
Okay.
Yeah. In theaters now.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm more surprised to hear that Dr. Fate is in a movie or that Pierce Brosnan is in a movie.
Pierce Brosnan is definitely in Black Adam. I think he's Dr. Fate. Yeah.
He was in The King's Daughter, which came out in 2022, which was covered for our podcast. So it must have been great.
I'm sorry, I didn't know. No, I didn't know. All right, so they're in the Batcave now. Batman kind of calls Robin out for resenting him. He's like, "Hey, I know you're upset that I'm not the real Batman. Get over it, dude. We got a job to do." And then they get attacked by the big dinosaur that's in the Batcave. They break a stalagmite off onto its head. I like that a lot. It was just stabs it right in the head. It doesn't really stab through, but it's enough to short it out and make it stop.
This is more of a dinosaur fight than when Jonah Hex fought a dinosaur on the cover.
Yeah.
That issue
It felt physical. I felt like the dinosaur was there. Yeah. Then the old Batman robot that they have there attacks, and Robin has to smash it with a rock. Oh, couldn't have felt good. Hugo Strange then reveals himself. He's a very, very old man up in like some corner of the Batcave with a light, and he talks about how he was healed by some doctor that he then killed, and now he's going to kill everybody. Batman grabs a hold of him, and Hugo Strange like turns himself into dust, and I guess he's dead. I guess that's over.
Yeah, I mean, Batman of Earth 1 is like, I mean, you want us to kill you, right? And he's like, no. And he's like, what do you even want here? And yeah, basically convinces Hugo Strange that he is suicidal, and he just like is holding Starman's rod and just wishes himself to not exist, basically.
Cool.
Pretty bleak.
Yeah, thanks for causing a bunch of grief for everybody else before you did that, man. Jeez. And then I guess that's over. Batman gives Batwoman a kiss and thanks her for giving him a reminder of what he used to be. Which, when did she do that? when did she give him any of that? I don't know. But Starman zaps him away back into his own dimension, and yeah, that's it. Pretty fun story. I liked the dinosaur and all the whirly gigs and just seeing all the 60s Batman stuff kind of like, coming in, being used against him. Fun little story. Batwoman felt shoehorned in, though. I will say she was just like kind of there. Didn't seem that important, but she's pretty good. I would like to see more of this Batwoman from Earth 2 to see more of what hers and Batman's relationship was like.
I wonder how much she was even in like modern comics of the time, like contemporary comics of like the 80s.
I don't know. But yeah, I think that's it for Brave and the Bold. Anything else to say about this? It was fun. It was good.
Yeah. Brave and the Bold, I don't think we mentioned, is like he always teams up with another hero. It's always Batman and somebody else, kind of like how Marvel 2-in-1 was always the Thing and somebody else.
Yeah.
Marvel team up with Spider-Man and someone else.
Yeah.
I saw that when y'all were joking about that. Obviously, this takes place before World's Finest. It said World's Finest number 271, which I would not have believed that World's Finest ran for 200 plus issues.
It's wild.
That's a lot of issues.
That's Superman and Batman, right?
Originally, yes. It's not just Superman and Batman by that point.
Okay.
It's kind of an anthology series.
Okay.
Well, we're going to be reading another Brave and the Bold issue coming up here with issue 197. That is the last issue of our JSA focus long read here. It's going to be a Batman and Catwoman team up here.
Ooh,
so we'll get
C-dubs.
to that. The C-dubs. She's going to be here. Excited for that.
I am.
And what is going to be our main read next time? There's a Black Panther movie coming out. I found out about an hour ago.
Wakanda Forever.
And Wakanda Forever. And Namor is going to be in it.
Yeah.
And we haven't really read anything focused on Namor. We read Marvels for our long read way back when, which had him in it for a bit. But we decided we're going to go back. We're going to do some old comics from 1939, 1940. We haven't done that in a long time. I remember we read the Batman comics, Detective Comics #1 from back then. I don't know how many other times we've traveled this far back, but we are going to read Marvel Comics #1, published by Timely Comics before they were Marvel, from 1939 by Bill Everett. This has the first appearance of Namor in it.
He's right there.
Immediately,
because he's the first mutant, right?
Yeah. Yes. Immediately after that, the series changes its name to Marvel Mystery Comics, and we're going to read issues 7 through 9 of that. Also by Bill Everett. It's a story with Namor attacking New York City. So that's Marvel Comics number 1, Marvel Mystery Comics number 7 through 9. And then, all right, in case that wasn't confusing enough, we're also going to read just one page of Marvel Mystery Comics number 10, because apparently the story bleeds in like a serialized kind of deal where it's like, okay, we're going to end on this page and then continue with a whole nother story from there. So yeah, I guess technically Marvel Comics number 1 and then Marvel Mystery Comics number 7 through 10, but just like a tiny little bit of 10.
Yeah.
And I think that'll be fun. Again, been a long time since we've gone back to some old stuff there. So yeah, Namor stuff, Brave and the Bold number 197. We'll have a new long read coming up after that as well. Ooh. Gotta tune in next time to see what that's going to be. But what else is going on? Yeah, what else is going on until then? Chris, how is Your Stupid Minds doing?
Doing great. I mentioned a previous episode, The King's Daughter, if you need more Pierce Brosnan 2022 movies in your life. You can also check out our current Halloween series. We did The House by the Cemetery, a bizarre Fulci movie about spooky, ghostly things, and Cat People from Paul Schrader from 1982 with Natasha Kinski and Malcolm McDowell. A very strange and fun movie that I do recommend, but it was not commercially or critically successful.
HBO Max was pushing that to me last night. Was pushing Cat People to me hard. I don't know.
Check it out. It's fun.
Never heard of it.
And then what else?
Got a good Bowie song too.
Cat People Got No Reason to Live. No, that's not right. That's different. That's Short People. No, okay. I'm
Putting out a fire with gasoline.
And then I think you also covered Dracula Untold recently, and I texted you and Nick that's now number 4 on Netflix. It's a number 4 movie on Netflix as of, I guess, whatever, Saturday, July or October 22nd. I think I texted y'all last night.
Yeah, it left HBO Max, and now Netflix is reaping the rewards.
Wow. Incredible. Vince, what's going on with you?
Nothing. Not a gosh darn thing. I beat Yakuza 2, Yakuza Kiwami 2, and I'm still playing Vampire Survivors. I survived a full 30-minute run, and then the monster came at me like the monster from Ski Free and killed me. So spoiler alert. But Vampire Survivors, I think, had a big patch. I'm not paid by them. I just enjoy the game. It's an early access game.
I was singing their praises. It's good. It's developed a whole new genre of games here. I have ordered a new computer. Hey! Yay! I said I was going to build one, and it's never happened. And then I found a pre-built, and I'm like, I'm happy with this. I'm happy with everything that this offers me. So I will hopefully by this time next podcast I will be at least recording on the new computer, possibly streaming again by then. We'll see what happens.
Congratulations.
Yeah, pretty excited. What am I playing though? Jeez, I don't remember. Always too many things here. Slay the Spire, I guess. Atelier Ryza. I like that Atelier series.
Oh, really? I've heard. I listened to a podcast, and then one of the hosts really loves the Atelier season.
I've played anything of the series until this one, and I'm like, all right.
I think it's Atelier, and then whatever the subtitle is, that's the main character it follows. So
right, and there's like a bunch of them, and so a real common writer situation.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, I think we're done for now. Was there anything else we needed to mention? Any other housekeeping to take care of? No. All right, Vince, I love you.
I love you too, buddy.
Chris, I love you.
Hey, who's that at the window? 1 second, I gotta open this.
No, Chris, no. Don't wear his scarf.
Yeah, you can come in.
No. Oh, geez. We're going to have to find a new co-host.
No, he can do it. We record at night. We'll be fine.
Oh, yeah, he'll be okay. Well, listener, we thank you as well. We love you as well. And we will see you next time. Have a good night.